Okay, so welcome back. Uh, Draft review. So we went over all 31 teams going into the draft, and now let's see how the first round went. And so what I have here is my list and then the actual list as to what happened. So breaking it down right now, I think the first two picks were pretty obvious in terms that Boston took Lafreniere and then Chicago took Byfield. So Boston locking down a, just a stud on the left side, and Columbus hopefully getting that all-star centerpiece. Good drafting by both teams. Hopefully, if I'm Columbus, you could wait one more year, let Byfield play one more year in the juniors, but I doubt that happens. Just because I don't think it's Columbus's time just yet. I think Islanders did a lot of work. Rangers are still good. Who else is in that division that you have to look out for? It's not coming to me, but there's two more teams that are rather tough in that division. But for now, Columbus, I still feel is just a little bit ways away. So Boston coming back, I said they go Askarov. Uh, they instead went for Stutzel, so they Boston obviously thought it was talent that they couldn't pass up. And then what ended up happening is Islanders swapped with Anaheim here, so Anaheim ended up moving up here and went back to back and took Rosie Raymond. So um, here I really thought Anaheim could have took the goalie, but getting two forwards really good for Anaheim here. Think about the future. Maybe he's got OV right now, so maybe the plan is kind of pushed for now. But he did trade Stone, so I mean, might be thinking about the future right now in Anaheim. So if that's the case, building a pretty good foundation there with Rosie and Raymond. So that's pretty good. Gets the Bill check mark of good job. Next, Boston again with their last pick in the top 10 with Askarov. So Lafreniere. So winger, and a goalie. So rare, and pretty rare. Good job at solidifying the core. Um, just exactly how I would have wanted them to go. So I think you could switch Raymond with Stutzel pretty easily here, and you're not losing much value. So really good job by Boston to not really screw this up. I think no matter what they did, they were going to win so long as they didn't draft Drysdale or Sanderson in the top six here. So good job by Boston getting that talent. So next up, we had Rangers. Rangers, I thought would get Rosie, but since he went so early, that left him with Holtz. So Holtz, I thought would have been a little bit earlier, but Rangers getting him at 7, I think that's a steal for Rangers. Uh, so good on you, Rangers. Uh, should should fit in nice on the New Jersey power play. Give it about 5 years, and it's going to be probably a dynamite player. Um, but do the Rangers have 5 years? Is Holtz going to come in and be an all star right off the bat? Probably not. Probably going to take that 3 years. I mean, I can see him going on the Heinz projection, but Holtz having more ability than Heinz. I just mean in terms of getting to where he needs to get to. Heinz pretty much did so, like he projected properly. So Holtz, if he projects properly, I'm thinking year 3, year 4, year 5 is when we finally start to cash in on this pick here. Just my thoughts. So that's another good pick here. Perfetti, I tried trading up for. Pittsburgh just shut me down. It was the right pick, I think. Best player available. Helps towards whatever Pittsburgh's working towards. I'm not too sure. I don't mean that as a shot. I'm just being spitting the facts, as we like to call them on the show. So Perfetti, good pick. Don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh. 9, same thing with Colorado. Don't really know what's going on in there. But Drysdale, I mean, best. Some people would say he's the best defender available. I'm not in that group, but he took him, helps towards the future. But I think he missed a pick on Lundell. Lundell, I think that's an absolute steal for me at 10 here. Really excited about that pick. Already had trade offers, not trading him. So good luck. Number 11 here, Minnesota. I had taken Sanderson. I didn't even have Jarvis in the top 15 here, but such is life. Uh, Minnesota opting for the goal scorer instead of the top 5 defender. So not a bad pick, just um, doing what they feel like they have to do, and I can't knock them for that. So Minnesota, good job. Uh, 12, LA. So me and LA were talking trade here, and this was before the pick even happened, and we were talking about moving goalies, and there was just no way I was going to move Grubauer for Mrazek. And then I'm watching Sanderson, I'm watching him drop, and all of a sudden he becomes available. So I become pretty pumped there. Talked to Dan, we move up, and asked for his thoughts here. Well, I didn't really ask for him, he just kind of sent them towards me. And he goes, LA's very happy with their draft here. They were hoping that Lundell or Jarvis would be available at 12, but the GM found a sucker to help us upgrade a net without losing too much in the draft value. Scouting staff feels that they got a high floor player in Mercer and a few high ceiling swings in Amarov, Perot, and Jarventi. With the flat cap likely to stay in place for a few years, they're likely counting on the depth contribution from a couple of these guys in 2 to 3 years. But who's to say that some of them won't be traded before that? So before we get into there, that's just the idea. So LA moved back, upgraded their goalie, gave up Sanderson, and we'll talk about their picks a little later. So good trade by both teams, I feel. Um, and then Sanderson here, I think that's the best pick in terms of direction of where my team is going. I need time to build up my team. Defenders take the most time to develop. So the idea is have my stockpile of D next year, draft forwards, the year after that, 6 more forwards, year after that, another top end forward, a year after that, really try my ass off to go for last. And then after that, I'm all in. So that's the idea. That way it lets me build up the stocks. Who knows if that's what's going to happen, but so 4 years, that's the idea. By then, hopefully Sanderson, Byram, Broberg, uh, Braden Schneider, Bernard Docker. Uh, Hopefully, all those guys can develop for me. So that's the idea. 13, Quinn. Quinn. Hey, I got one. But this was traded to the Islanders. Ask Kyler about it. He's really happy with the pick. And he's just going to sit on him. Hopefully, he develops. Uh, so Kyler still doing a good job building up prospects and building up his team at the same time. Uh, Islanders, I feel, are doing the same thing Boston's doing. It's just that Boston put his into such a hyperdrive that he gave up his prospects and the stocks. And so I think he doesn't even have the team to get into playoffs. I think he's almost there, just not there yet. And with that being said, if he can't get into playoffs and he just sold everything to get into playoffs, where does that leave him? Leaves him in a tough spot. So Boston, I think, has a couple more moves to make. I think they know that too. Um, so Boston and New York, watch about 2 teams trying to navigate their way into making the playoffs. One team kind of going all in route with the other team being the more passive, really waiting to see because I really was trying to work Kyler down for 4 back when I had Sergachev, and like I was offering him pretty like gold here and he was turning it down, and then he went and he landed a huge deal. I think. I think he won that uh, Mark Stone trade hands down, especially when he gave up that terrible Keller trade. So, or Keller contract. I think he's taking on a big risk there, just because we play in a league that values hits, and Keller doesn't do so, and he doesn't really deliver on the power play, and the whole team in Arizona as a whole just doesn't really deliver a lot of fantasy points. So that's that. Toronto, I said Amarov, but they went Lapierre, and I think this is a really good pick because he dropped in the draft. Uh, Washington seems to be doing a really good job in drafting lately. Last year with Connor McMichael, or maybe that was 2 years ago. So good job following in the Washington footsteps, taking Lapierre. And then last one, Holloway. So I finally got one here again. Hey Bill, just a solid pick. Projects to be middle middle six player, hopefully a third line center for Edmonton. And if that's the case, that's a 4 point player, middle 4 point player. So pretty good job by taking him by Edmonton. So that's the top 15, what I want to talk about there. And then the fun stuff here. So, oh, guess I used the wrong side of the board here. Got more stickies right here. So, the winners of the draft, I have LA as number one here with Amirov, Mercer, and Pro. So, LA finished top of the league in points and wins. They go and get a whole bunch of uh, middle drafted prospects in the first round, which is crucial for developing the stables. So great job by LA. Good job at, um, well, this is exactly what you need to stay at the top. You have your top end players, you need your prospects to bring in more top end players to buy off of teams that aren't necessarily there but feel they need more prospects. So well done, LA. Two, Boston and Anaheim, they're winners because they didn't blow it. They had the top five picks, those two teams, which is ridiculous. And uh, I think that they hit on every single one. Third winner, I like to think I struck gold hitting with Lundell and Sanderson late here. Uh, Respect to where everybody else was drafted just because. Um, or maybe it's just because I value the actual drafting of the players, but I did that with Sanderson and Broberg, and they look like hits. So that's just where I'm coming from in terms of that. And then I had Braden Schneider a little bit later on, who looks to be a top end, or not a top end defender, but a rock steady top four defender in the NHL, which is always pretty good. Can't use that. Could always use that, I should say. And then the losers are any rebuilding team that wasn't able to draft in the top 10. So Edmonton, I would have liked to see draft higher. Minnesota, I would have liked to see draft a little higher. Philadelphia didn't even get a first round pick. So those teams, not necessarily losers, but just a tough time. And yeah, that's our draft review, first round.